Hello, everyone. Welcome to our program Consciousness in Evolution from Reaprendência International. We are here live and we are at Reaprendência headquarters in Foz do Iguaçu. And our objective is to present and debate essential themes of conscienciology in English. Reaprendência is a conscienciocentric institution specialized in teachers' formation, re-education, and personal growth. We also bring researchers and instructors to debate with us themes such as self-re-education, parapsychism development, out-of-body experience, bioenergies, multiple lives, and other subjects related to self-evolution. In today's webinar, our guest is instructor Juliana Remédios from OIC, International Organization of Consciential Therapeuticology. She's going to talk about how changing our thoughts can renew our life. Let's discuss how healthy thoughts and sentiments and energies can change completely the way we see things and face everyday life and challenges. And also, we are going to know the theory of thosene. So, for the ones who are new and doesn't know conscienciology, it's a great opportunity to know a little bit about the thosene and its theory. Feel free to send us any questions at any time. So, let's introduce our dear instructors, Juliana. Hi, Juliana, welcome.
Hi, Eliana. Thank you for having me. Hi,
Thank
everybody.
you. Very good. So, Juliana Remédios is graduated in medicine with specialization in internal medicine and clinical oncology. Born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, she currently lives in Foz do Iguaçu. She's a volunteer of Conscienciology since 2005, Conscienciology instructor since 2006, and Penta practitioner since 2006, co-organizer of the Dictionary of Consciential Therapeuticology, published in 2022. Very good. So, Juliana, welcome. Feel free. People, I just want to remember something that is very important. That is the principle of disbelief. So don't believe in anything, not even in what you hear in this webinar. Experiment, have your own experiences. Okay? And Juliana, the word is yours. I think this theme is very, let's say, important in our lives. So you can get started at any time.
Okay, hi. Well, guys, today we are talking about our thoughts and from consciential perspective and how that can change our lives and help us to to get better. Okay, so let's start. I'll bring some questions to help us to think about this theme, these ideas. Okay, the first one is what are thoughts from perspective of conscientiology? Well, in actually from perspective of conscientiology, the thoughts or what you think, they are part of one thing that we call thosene. Our thoughts, our sentiments and energies and are together in an inseparable way, forming this idea that is the thosene. Let me show you. So you have the thosene, the toe from thoughts, sentiments, and energy, forming just one unity. So that's pretty much a basic concept in conscienciology. I think one of the most innovative ideas or novel poems is the idea that every time that you think about something and you are thinking all the time, non-stopping, we are also feeling something, and we are also spreading our energy, and this whole that is called a thosene can leave a track for your track of there we call it thosenity or thosenation. The thosenes together make the thosenation, and the quality of these thosenes is called thosenity. So yeah, thank you. Verpon's a little relative true. So I think that this idea, this concept, this Verpon of the thosene is one of the bases of conscientiology. Because if you think about we usually think that, oh no, it's just a thought, it's just in my head, nobody knows, and nobody will never know. And when you start to think about your sentiment energies together and the extraphysical also, you see that your thoughts don't stay only on your mind, they spread what you thought, what you felt, and your energies around yourself. They can impact the environment, the other people, and also yourself. That's another question that I want you to think about. How my thosenes now impact my life, right? That's another thing that you start to think about. And another thing that you can think also is that since my energies impact the environment, other people, my other people lives, and their state of mind, myself, you need more responsibility if you assume this concept of thosene. It's different from, oh no, it's just on my mind, and no, it's everywhere, and can even stay as a track, as I told you before, in the place there you go, right? For example, if you used to stay a lot in one place, like here, it's my office. I used to stay a lot here. These thosenes, this thosenation, will create a pattern, an energy, a thought, a sentiment pattern here, right? So that's pretty important. But there are also another concepts related to that that are really interesting. But well, then you probably will ask me, okay, Juliana, so there is the consciousness, and the way of manifestation of the consciousness is through their thosenes or their thosenation, right? So there is the consciousness and the thosenation, thosenes. So pretty much you're telling me, Juliana, that the thosenation is the most important thing that we can study. It's almost the same of study the consciousness. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say to you. And actually, this idea, you can get this idea studying the specialties from conscientiology. Let's check this chart. Here we have the 70 first or more important specialties or sciences inside conscientiology, right? And the basic ones, nowadays we have much more in the encyclopedia, but these are the basic ones. This is a synoptic chart from the beginning, okay? So here you say different orders of specialties, they one inside another, but in the first order you have thosenology, even before evolutionology and holosomatology that studies the holosoma. So that's pretty much the idea. For this way of see things, thosenology is everything, because the consciousness express themselves by thosenes. So it's pretty much everything that you do. So I'm not trying to convince you that's pretty important, but it is really relevant to think about your thosenes. That's what I'm trying to show you here, guys. Then you can ask me, okay, Juliana, we already got there. It's pretty important, but how can I study my tocenation, my tocenity? And how can I do that, right? Well, one thing that you must understand is that evolve is to tocenate in a more cosmoetical way. What that means is that if everything that you do in a certain way, it's become from your tocenation. So if you want to evolve, if you want to get healthier, if you want to get better, you must do it in a more healthier way or more cosmoetical way. So it's pretty much that. So all the techniques that you have in conscienciology, a lot of techniques, anything really, if you know something, some technique, you can think about that. For example, 5 hours reflection is a pretty common, pretty important technique. It's about tocenation. The IV, it's pretty much getting better your tocenation, especially the energy part. So in the end, it's all about that. And how to better tocenate, how to achieve orthotocenity. Orthotocenity is a concept that means pretty much that is tocenate better, is tocenate with more cosmoetics, in a more straight way, without deviations, in a more clear, more healthy way. Oh, so how can I get that? How do I achieve orthotocenity? And the way that you're talking about, how I can evolve with my incrementing my tocenes, improving my tocenes. So, well, we can put that. Of course, it's like a big thing. It's pretty much a life, uh, something that you do during all your life, getting better and try to reach orthotocenity and improve your tocenity. But pretty much you can say there are two big steps to help you out. The first step you can say is to know your own tocenity. To know how you tocenate. To know how you what you think, what you feel. What about your energy patterns? How are your energies? Pretty much that, because you need to know something, then you can change it or improve it, right? And the second step is just change what you detected is not okay, or is not so healthy, or it's like update, needing an update. That's pretty much these two steps that we are digging into now. So the first step, how do you study your own tocenity? Well, there are many ways, like I told you before. Pretty much many techniques on conscienciology are about that in the end, although they can be not directly related to tocenology. In the end, they will repercute on your tocening, on your tocenity. But there are more direct ways that deal with tocenes themselves. I'll present you here a method to study your tocenation that was proposed to Valdo Vieira, the researcher Valdo Vieira. Few years, some decades ago, he proposed a lot of ways to measure different aspects of the consciousness. I think the most famous, most notorious one is conscienciogram. There is even a book, conscienciogram is one of the most important books that is a metric from the consciousness in different aspects and attributes and traits. But there are other ways of measuring. Yes, Helena?
No, it was because there was some misconnection here and your voice kind of disappeared with some technical issues, but no problem. You can move
Okay,
forward.
I can move forward. Okay.
And
Okay.
we have Juliana, just a second. After you close your idea that you were discussing, we have one question from Marconde. Okay.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you, Marcelo. Marcelo is saying that the audio is okay. I will leave the Marconde Marque here question, right? I'm gonna read it. It looks like improving the way we think docility improves our life. Are there tools or techniques you could recommend? Okay, so this is
Yes,
Marconde.
I will just recommend start to say something like that. There are a lot of them, as we told you before. Like one basic one, I think it's vibrational state, but that's not nothing. There are nothing new on that. But sometimes something that we already know that is important and we are not doing it. But I will show you, Marcondi, and all of you, this proposition to study, to break down the details of tos, your tocination. So I hope that will help. So as I was telling you, it's called tosinogram, and it was proposed from Valdo Vieira, but he didn't develop the details of it. So what are you going? I'm going to present to you today to show you. It's actually my version. What I think it is a tosinogram. I I I did an article, published an article years ago. It's in Consciência Journal. It's the same name, tosinogram, but of course in Portuguese. I'm sorry, guys, but nowadays that's not much such a problem since you have good translators in uh, AI and also conventional ones. But anyway, let's get into what is tosinogram. It's a scientific method to measure your own your tocination and also your tocinity. Okay. The objective of it is not just measure, but then you get some material, some content that you can use to improve yourself. That's the main reason, actually. And is based on two phases. The method is constituted two phases. One is register your tocenes. Okay, I will show you more about that, the registration form, how you do it. And the second part is the analysis. I think you can go through these in the few slides so you can get it, right? This is all about understand and increase the knowledge that you have about your tocination, because sometimes you say, oh no, I know how I think, how I feel, how my energies manifest, but that actually I have a lot of experience with this method and other ones also in this field of tocinology. And many times, most of the times actually, people get surprised when they start to register their tocenes, because they didn't realize that their tocination, the way that they feel, or it was exactly that way. So that's pretty exciting, actually. Well, the first part of registration form of the tocinogram is pretty simple. You put there the day, date, the hour that the tocine occur. It's pretty important to register the tocine as soon as you get them. Okay, do not delay and register later, because many times much very important data are lost. So that's not a good practice. it's better to resist it as soon as possible, right? Nowadays, it's not so hard. You can record on a cell phone, even or typing on your cell phone, or carry a little paper with pen with you. So that's pretty easy. The third
I have a
part,
question. I have a question for you, Juliana.
yeah,
I was wondering, how can you give me an example of a thosene? For example, I am usually concerned about food.
okay.
What am I gonna eat? Where I'm going to eat?
Yeah,
Who's going?
what I'm gonna eat is,
Is it an example?
yeah, yeah, exactly. All these manifestations are toxins. So the idea is that where or when I'm going to eat, and the feeling when you have this kind of toxin. What is the feeling or the emotion that you have with it?
Sometimes the emotion is wow. Once more, have to cook. Wow, I'm not feeling like that. I wish I could, I could, I could do something better. I'm get
May,
bored.
that's important. Many times people describe the sentiment or the emotion as like another idea, like, oh, I'm frustrated that I have to cook again, but that's not really the emotion. Probably in your case, the emotion will be like frustration. Oh no, again, I have to
Yeah,
cook, you know. So
yeah,
that's pretty common, actually, Eliana. And most people don't realize or don't name it, uh, don't name it the emotions and the feelings. They try to do another idea, but not really get into the emotion. That was pretty didactical that you had. And the energies, how was your energies in that moment? Or do
yeah.
you perceive some kind of interaction like astrophysical perception?
Wow, I think it's a conditioning of myself. So I put my energies to do it. What I'm very conditioned to some tasks. I see that some people are not so worried about that, but I'm really worried about if I have the things or have to go to the market. So I think, wow, I lose a lot of time with that. But intraphysical life, we have to think about these things. It's no way. Maybe I think too much. Maybe I'm too much worried with that. I
Well,
see
that
people.
actually is something that you can get if you if you write down in your pensanogram. If you are put too much time in using it, as you're gonna see in the next slides, you can track down the ideas that are repeating too much, and maybe you realize that you are doing that, that you are, like you said, intraphysicalizated, or that you are, uh, oh, that's pretty much escape or thinking something else. There are many different things, but that's the idea of the oceanogram. But you can really, one thing that you did that we do not recommend people do it, is that it start to analyze while you are writing down your tocenes, and also criticize, oh, maybe I'm writing down too much about food, you know. So because then you repress your thoughts, and the Tolcenogram won't show your real Tolcenation, right? That actually started to happen to me when I first did the Tolcenogram, and when I started to develop it, I started to write down a lot of guilty and worry Tolcenes. And then I at certain point I was ashamed of myself, and then I had the tocene, and I have to write down, because I had this compromise. Every time that I have a bad tocene or a tocene that make me feel bad, I will write down, and then I start to avoid, no, later, maybe later. I already write down too many of these ones. So that's pretty much the idea.
Don't repress, just register the thosene the moment
Yeah,
that they happen.
exactly.
Good. Okay, I'll try, Juliana.
Okay,
Certainly I will try the technique. Very good.
okay.
Thank you.
Well, other point is the circumstances. That's pretty much important. I want you to write down exactly where were you, which under conditions, who were you, including the extra physical consciousness, your hypothesis about your extra physical companies, right? And the trigger event. And one thing that is really important is that with tosinogram, you can study your own tosination, other people's tosination, and you can study your, let's put it simply, your good thoughts, your good toxins, and your bad or your unhealthy toxins, right? I'm here because you're talking about getting better. I will focus in today on the bad toxins, right? Or the toxins that make you feel bad, unhealthy, anti-cosmoetic toxins. You can say that because sometimes when you register them, you can see what you need to improve. Although the good things are really important too, but sometimes you change that. So how can you change? You write down your unhealthy anti-cosmetic things. I'm here, I'm okay, and then I start to feel bad. Oh, sorry, guys. I start to feel bad. Something happened that my sanity changed. And could be a fact, could be someone talking to me, could be something that I watching on TV, and could be even my a memory that I something that I thought about. For example, oh, tomorrow I need to do this and that, and I'm worried about it. I'm insecure. I don't feel good. So when you write down the anti-cosmoethical thing to research then your problems, then it's really important to write down these triggering things, because sometimes it's even like could be even extraphysical consciousness intrusion or um, energetic intrusion, right? Well, thank you, Marcon. Marcon is talking about tosinogram. Actually, for the ones that want to try it, in the ECGA site, they have this free chart there so you can fulfill. Well, the second part of the form is pretty much when you write down the idea, the sentiments, the energies, and there is also a field to the comments that you can do if you have something that is not appropriate or addressed in the previous fields. But one thing that I want you to stress out is that you need to put the name of the emotion. As we saw with the Eliana, it's pretty common when you, oh, what are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling this and that. And then the person describes pretty much the idea. But there must be there is an emotion, even though you can really use it to feel it, or you're not use it to name it. There is an emotion, a feeling there, and sometimes it's even useful for people that are beginning with that to see dictionaries of emotions and things like that, so you can name exactly what you're feeling. Okay, that's a tip. Yes, Elena.
Oh, I just wanted to see the site. I'm mentioning here the site.
Okay, the CGE, yeah,
Okay.
right.
Dot
Oh,
org dot br. I'm gonna publish here, and the ones who are interested to download to Cinegram. Do you know if there is in English?
no, I don't think so. I think it's just Portuguese.
People has to translate using MateCat.
Yeah, that's a good idea to translate it, right?
Okay.
Well, guys, since you like wrote down like 10 to 20 those scenes, so then you go through the second part of Tocinogram, There we are doing some analysis, some studies about some of the things that you wrote down, and the main aim here is to give you like a panoramic, like a cosmic, uh, uh, a broad vision of how is your um, tonsination and the quality, your tosanity, how it's pretty much giving a big idea of how you manifest yourself, okay? And with this data, after you went through the tosinogram, you can do a lot more, really. Well, the first one that I recommend is this that is called taxology of the tocenes. It's pretty much you going through each chart that you did, if you want the tocene that you registered out, and you classify them, okay? For example, this tocene is more about what? This idea, this sentiment, these energies, the resume is about what? For example, I'm not, as I told you, I'll be focusing more on the negative one, right? So, for example, I'm not able to do it. I won't be able to solve this problem tomorrow. It's pretty much about not being able to do something. It's about frustration or self-depreciation, I can say, right? Not insecurity. So we can put like insecurity thought, insecurity those things there, and maybe or low self-esteem those things. Actually, there is no right or wrong answer. You need to put what you feel that is describes better. And when I start this pentosinogram, my personal aim was to change um, self-loathing and also victimization thoughts. Like, for example, um, these ones that I told you that are about low self-esteem and self-victimization thoughts were like, oh, everything is against me. The universe don't let me down. Nobody understands me. Also, self-victimization is related to this idea that you are a victim of someone, or even sometimes not even someone, but the universe, the circumstance, and you keep complaining. And also is related with low self-esteem too. And so I want to change this kind of victimized thought. And when I wrote down all my thoughts, like 20, 30 thoughts, those things, and the main idea was that I was self-victimizing, right? I was like complaining about everything. So it was about that. And I was pretty much surprised at how my thoughts get, how I had so many thoughts about that. Another thing that you can analyze is that about a concept that is from Valdo Vieira. Also, there is an Encyclopedia of Conscienciology. The name in the verbete in Portuguese is carregamento na pensanidade. That is my translation. Sorry if it's not perfect. Of tosanity loading. Sorry, it's right wrongly here. Tosanity loading. What is that? It's pretty much when you have the tocene, you have three parts, but there is one that is more heavy, that has more emphasis. For example, when I say I won't be able to do it, I can do it. Usually, I was charged with these emotions of anger and also frustration, anger against myself and frustration. So this was the most heavier part, the heavier part of the tocene itself. So that's important because after a while, you start to understand how your bad thoughts here, that we analyze your bad thoughts, they work, how they work. Are there more emotional loaded thoughts, more energy loaded thoughts? So that's pretty interesting, actually, because then you can start to put the pieces together. Another one that I think it's pretty simple, and people sometimes think, no, this one is too simple and it won't help me, is about healthy or unhealthy thoughts. Of course, here we are doing the example of just write down the unhealthy thoughts. So that doesn't suit our case. But if you write down all the important thoughts that you had, all those things that you have during the day, and then you can categorize them in healthy or healthy. Of course, here the example that I brought to you today, it's about just about unhealthy. So this technique maybe won't help so much. This one is pretty important. It helped me a lot, and I see through the years the thosene was applied for a lot of people during courses, consensual therapy, and I even received a lot of emails from people saying that helped and giving suggestions and things like that. And one analysis that is pretty important is you understand the percentage of your thosenity. How much environments affect me? Are there evolutionary catalyst sites? For example, if you start to have more unhealthy thoughts in a specific local with specific people doing something specific, that's pretty important, you know. It's something that happen in the environment. For example, when I start to do this, as I told you, I start to realize that I had pretty nasty thoughts, specific related with specifically during the night. You know, when you wake up in during the night and you start to have like bad thoughts about what you're going to do, what about what you did, and you should have do it differently, and you start to regret yourself. So that was a pattern that I had. If I wake up during the night, I start to have these unhealthy thoughts. So I realized that when I wrote down the circumstance, the time, the hour when I was having this kind of thoughts. On the other side, though, I realized that I had really good thoughts, more lucid thoughts, less worry, less anxiety, less fear, less self-victimization when I was in CIEC, that the International Center of High Studies of Conscienciology here in Foz do Iguaçu. When I was there, I realized that I was less anxious, I had less frustration. So that gave me a tip that maybe the environment was also um, uh, taking a toll on me, right? In that if I could get in better environments at that point, maybe that will help me to think better. So that's just an example.
And
Hello from Helsinki, yes.
yeah, Julie, we have a question from Marcondi. He's asking if there is a course about tosinogram.
Okay, yeah. During the time during the years I gave many courses. Nowadays I don't have one schedule. Usually nowadays I myself I work with tosinogram in consensual therapy through OIC. There we have like sessions online and presential ones, even in English too and Spanish. So, but consensual therapy is not specific about consensual tosinogram. It's one of the things that you do, but there are many other techniques. If you are interested, you can see that. But nowadays, I don't have a course schedule about that, but I'll let you know. Okay.
Very good.
And another thing that you can study about your thosenity is the use of your thosenity. how you, I mean, pretty much the value about what you think, you know. Um, how can I explain more about that? For example, I give you my example again. I started to realize that I was pretty much worried most of the time. Worry about things that will happen, that could happen in the future, things that happened and I couldn't change anymore, but I somehow felt bad about it. I was kind of perfectionist also in that time, so I was pretty hard on myself. So I realized that when I start to write down my thosene, I realized that I wasted a lot of time and mental energy think about useless stuff. Really. So that's something that also impacted me. I was kind of shocked too, because I always thought, oh, I'm so intelligent, I'm such a smart person. And then I start to see that by the evolution concept, I was not as smart as I thought, actually. I was wasting a lot of time with useless stuff. And that brings us to this that other analysis that is about chronology of your sanity. Do I concentrate more on the past, present, or future? So I will give you again my example, but you can bring your examples on the chat too and in the comments, please, people, if you have experience with that, because I was always regretting or worrying with something. Basically, I was never thinking about the present, what I was doing at that moment. I was always thinking about something that would happen that I was worried, or something that happened that I sometimes feel bad or regret. And actually, through the years, I saw that there are different patterns. Some people, the special people that have a lot of anxiety, they usually think a lot about the future, things that they fear, that they are worried that could happen, uh, uh, some kind of a bad perspective, right? And other people are like are in the past. For example, people that complain a lot and have resentments and can forgive other people. They spend a lot of people thinking about the past, right? Try to rethink the past or something like that. And this analysis here is about focus of thosene. Sorry, it's written wrongly here also. Do I think more about myself or the others? That's pretty much you say, oh, Juliana, that's pretty much obvious. Obviously, is not a useful question, but think about it. You can write down beside your thoughts these thoughts about me or about others. So you know that you evolve by helping others, right? The assistance, the helping people is the main way to get yourself better. And if you think all most of the time about yourself, your problems, your worries, so that's pretty much about yourself. So that's something that I realized that I was one diagnosis that I had during the conscienciogram. It was really over focused on myself, and that was really making actually my problems getting better than they were. And when I started to look at, because of the thosenogram, look to other people problems, how can I see help them more? How then these somehow my problems that were so big they diminish, they getting smaller and smaller. Not that they disappear or that I ignoring them, no, but actually I think that I start to balance my life, my way of see things better in a more a more, can I say, even equal way, right? So that's something you keep like thinking of things about not directly about yourself, but things related just about yourself. That's something that you can learn from thosenogram too. And the quality of intention. And the quality of intention, it's a pretty interesting analysis. Actually, for the ones that are interested, we have an Encyclopedia of Conscienciology, a technique that is called a technique of quality of intention, or qualification of intention, I guess. And the name in Portuguese é Técnica da Qualificação da Intenção. And there you find there are three questions mainly: why, for who, for whom, and for what are you doing something? Why are you doing something? Is the main question to get in the base of the roots of your intention. And you can find many different answers, but also you can understand a little bit more about your transformation. Yes.
Juliana, I have a question here. It's my doubt, okay?
Okay.
You mentioned that
Please.
it's possible to analyze other people's toxins. How can you talk about more about it? How can we do that?
Yeah, actually, we were talking here the self-tocenogram, right? You're doing by yourself and alone, probably not really alone, but by yourself at least. But you have the tocenogram that is like when, for example, I write down my tocenes and I register them, and then you help me to understand them, you know?
Okay.
And so in tocenogram, I can help you to analyze your thoughts, your sentiments, your energy. You write them down, and I can help you with that. So it's someone that will help you to do that. Sometimes even in
That you
consciential
know
therapy,
that sometimes someone who knows you and can maybe give some.
no, I don't think the person needs to know you really. And they can help you to think about your tocenogram. Of course, the person needs to know the technique, the method, right? But then they will help you to analyze your tocenogram.
So is that what happens in the consciential therapy sometimes?
Yes, sometimes happens in consciential therapy, in courses, of course, people write down their tocenes and we help you. First of all, we help people to understand if they fulfill it correctly. As I told you, one main problem is about emotions. It's a sore point that people had difficulty to understand. So there is this learning of how to name your emotions, how to perceive them, and mainly this is the main problem with the fulfillment of the forms. And the second part, we can help you like understand and the connections of your thoughts and these
Okay.
analyses that I show you here, and something more. Yeah, you can. It's pretty much when I describe the method, it's something that I want to do, like help people to analyze their tocenogram. So that's it.
Very good. Now I understand very well. Thank you.
So that's the intention. And of course, the emotions, analysis of your emotions. What are more common or frequently emotions? For example, in my self-victimization trait that I told you before, I had a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, some kind of sadness too. These were the main, and also anxiety when I was worrying. These were the thoughts that really took a toll on me at that time, make me feel really bad. So that's why I focus on them on tocenogram. And the emotional part was a main part actually, and the energies. And here in the energies of tocenogram, you can put also your acts. For example, oh, I had this tocene and I did this and I did that. I changed that. I gave up something. And the energy patterns were really something hard to me to describe at the beginning. I didn't have much of parapsychic perceptions, so I have to really. It was a field that was really hard to me at the beginning to fulfill because I couldn't really feel many of my chakras. Even the main chakras was hard to me. But you need to keep going, keep trying and actually value your perceptions. I'm sharing here with you something of my experience, guys, but you can also say something if you have this, if you had this experience too, or and you have doubts, okay? I'm trying to bring it up this only to exemplify how you can fulfill the thosene. Well, guys, sorry about if I'm doing it fastly, but pretty much the oscillogram in a simple way was what you're talking about. There is a lot more, but in a synthetic way, you can say it's pretty much that. And after you do the tonsillogram, you have an initial idea about your tosanity or tosanation, how you tosanate, right? And then how you can change that. That was a question that I did. Okay, now I wrote down all this form, and now I pretty much saw my problems, but how I change that, right? Okay, so I'll show you something that I did. Well, first of all, there are some basic stuff that you can do, basic techniques that you can do to have more sanity or hygiene. I can say like that, like basic hygiene, because at that time I use it. It's not that I thought that I couldn't like improve my sanity, but pretty much I have no rules. Like if I was here with you and I start to think about something totally different, I just let my sanity, my thoughts go through this way. I didn't have like rules, or as I told you, if I wake up during the night, think like bad thoughts, I just let them go and don't stop then and never criticize my thoughts. I thought that pretty much your sanity is like free. You know what I mean? And it's not that you are going to repress your sanity. It's not like that. But of course, if you want to do it better, you need to put limits, especially to the bad thoughts. You need to do something, interfere your sanity to change that, right? And I never really did something like that, even though I went to psychotherapy before. I didn't understand that I could do it. It was a fault, my fault actually. Well, these are the basic stuff that you can do. Pretty much cutting off, blocking some thoughts. Then you are going to ask me, but Juliana, that's not repressing. Yeah, in a certain way, yes, but for example, if you're just starting to give a class here, and I start to think, oh, I think I won't make it. I think I won't do it. You need to stop thinking this kind of depreciative, unhealthy, anti-cosmoetic thoughts and meet these things right away. So sometimes it's necessary to just block them. No, I won't stop. I'll stop to this line of hallucination. You just need to do it. Or replacing. For example, oh, I'm not able to do it. Oh, I nowadays I was not able to do it, but I'm improving. I'll be able to do it, or I'm able to do it because based on that I did before. You need to start to criticize what your things and change them. And actually, it's not really complicated. Sometimes even people don't do it because they think it's so simple. It will never help such a simple thing like replacing the thoughts. No, it helps. Actually, something that I learned from hallucination is that is not much really something really new or incredible that you need to do. No, it's more about small things that you do repeatedly. Adding new thoughts, for example, and I have this. I usually when I wake up back then, I was really like I had already had a bad night, think about bad things, and then I wake up with a bad mood, think, oh, what a terrible day. I'm tired. The day will be terrible. So I start to add things. No, it's not a bad day. It's another opportunity that I'll do better things. And not like a more like a romantic way. No, based on facts. Yesterday I did this and that. It was really nice. And I helped a lot of people. I had success doing this. And today I will do the same. And master your emotions and your energies. Um, what is mastering your emotion? That's pretty much a course itself, guys. But what can I say, like, in a simple way, is that not repressing, not dramatize them, just realize them, then they are there, address them, feel them, and then about this emotion, do something that will help you. If you're feeling sad, okay, I'm feeling sad, and now what do you do about that? So it's pretty much bringing your discernment, your rationality to your emotional experience, right? Sorry if it's too simplified, but we can elaborate that in a next meeting maybe. And master your energies. One thing that I realized is that I pretty much feel bad and had bad thoughts because I was intoxicated when I arrived in Conscienciale. I have intrusions. I was intoxicated because dealt with a lot of people, and I have no energy hygiene because I didn't know the basic maneuvers like a vibrational state or even like the uh, the mobilization of the energies. So that was something that was pretty much a life changing thing to me, to master my energies or to start to practice with the energies. And actually, doing that, you can improve all your tocenation. And tocenate by yourself, because sometimes there are not even your tocenes that you write down there are really intrusions.
So, Juliana, we are running out of the time. Unfortunately, we have a question from Isabelle that I would like you to answer, if possible.
Okay.
And it's how to analyze our tocinogram and not become self-intruded with what we read. Seems like it's something that could happen.
I didn't get it. If you want to, if you just saying that what we're writing down are like intrusions or tocenes
Yeah,
or intrusion,
I
something like
understand.
that, right? Well,
Yeah,
that's pretty much how it that starts, and you write down as the same, and think about it. If you accept that, if it was intrusion, but you accept that tocene, you cultivate them on your mind, you write down them, you let them disturb you. So pretty much is yours now, right?
yes,
And
because
and that's important because the power of changing that is also yours. And when you change your tocenity, actually you do the intrusion.
yes,
You
I
understand?
understand that sometimes when we are not used to do self-research, and the first time we really face some difficult trait, some weak trait that you have might be painful. I think whenever the more we face our weak traits and try to overcome them, the easier it gets. But people who had never done any kind of self-research or therapy with the focus in recycling things might get a little bit self-intruded when they really get to know their traits, their weak traits that they had to overcome. I understand the question this way, more or less, but I think you put in a very positive way. It's you, it's who you are. Let's do something to make it better and move forward.
Yeah, pretty much people sometimes say, you know what, I'm scared about what I think. Well, let me get, I'm scared of the possibility, for example, not even here in Tocinegram. I'm scared to know that there are extra physical consciousness and I can be intruded. So let me put this way, pretty simple. They are right there with you. If you are not a desperto, you have intrusions. Don't If you don't know about them, they won't disappear because of that. It's pretty much that. In my opinion, it's better to know, even though there are not always good news, of course, that expected, we're evolving. That's pretty normal, even, you can say that. And so it's better know and do something and be prepared than just ignore it and be under their control. Pretty much is like that. Or their influence, not exactly control, but
Very,
influence, right?
very well. So, Juliana, I will let you to finish your idea of this slide, and then we have to finish because our time is over. Okay.
Well, okay, so I'll try to do it pretty fast. So, one thing that we can do, like I told you, is like we are talking about changing isolated tocenes, right? But one thing that I want to say is that when you start to know the tocenogram, you know that the tip of the iceberg. But these tocenes that you learn this and that, like loose pieces, they when they are put together, they show you the pathology. What I mean by pathology, the consciousness disease, or your weak traits. If you had something else, you can put like that to understand, like weak traits. So when you start to study your really diagnosis, like the name of the trait that you have, the name of consciential disease, the loose pieces will create an image and it will be clear. For example, when I start to study the tocinogram, I have uh, these thoughts about low self-esteem and not being able to do things and complain. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. When I get deeper, then I understand the name of my weak trait, the name of my disease. That was, at that point, one of many, of course, it was self-victimization. So that's something that I think it's really interesting. We usually, how you can get this bigger perspective. Well, there are many ways. The way that I use that is related to conscientiotherapy that I told you is self-conscientiotherapy, and that is basically self-diagnosis and overcome or self-confrontation. And that's it, guys. And here, of course, you can do it by yourself. You can get help in conscientiotherapy. That's why I became a conscientiotherapist. After people from conscientiotherapy helped me to figure out that and much more. Okay, sorry about the rush and at the end, and I hope that at least I waken up on you some desire to learn more about your tocenation, about the quality of your tocenes. And it was just a small amount of knowledge that we have nowadays about this topic. Thank you very much, Eliana. Sorry about the delay.
Thank you, Juliana. It was great to have you here. I love it to know more about tosinogram. I used it to do that, and I participated in a course. I read your article, so I'll try to do it again because when I did it was a long time ago, many years ago. And now I think I'm in a new phases. I want to do it again to research more deeply about my tocination, my tocenes. Okay, and thank you
Okay.
so much. I hope to have you here once more and to talk about the dictionary of consciential therapeuticology that you were one of the organizers and co-author. Okay, so we can also invite Mark Almeida and Maximiliano Hyman so that you can tell us how was the process of producing a dictionary, a specialized dictionary with all these techniques. Okay,
Okay.
so people, thank you very much for your participation, for your questions and interactions. And I hope that you can join us in other lives. And our next live, we will be having Alexandre Zaslavsky here. It will be on in the first weekend, first Sunday of September. I think it's 3 of September, okay? And Alexandre Zaslavsky is going to talk about the International Congress of Conscienciology. That is a great event that will take place presentially in Foz do Iguaçu, and it will also be online. It will be happening in next year, 2024. So you are all invited to join us in the next live, and of course to participate in the International Congress of Conscienciology. So thank you very much for joining us today. Happy evolutionary journey.